All right, it's the Hope household face-off, as he just said to me offline. We got Connor Hope from Heat Check CBB here, and it's Gonzaga USC on Saturday in Las Vegas. There's a lot on the line for you personally. There's a lot on the line for your team in this game, Connor.
Yes. Gonzaga, unfortunately, seems like their opportunities for good wins are continuing to dwindle as far as wins in conference play. And so this USC game, I think, is one of those games that means a lot and will age well over the course of the season, which I'm kind of happy about almost as a Zag fan. This USC team is only going to get better as the season progresses, unless more injuries pop up. But Gonzaga gets them without Bronny James, but Bronny James is expected to come back in the coming weeks. And Isaiah Collier should only get better as a point guard for this USC team. So as far as this game goes for Gonzaga, it's probably behind the San Diego State game, maybe the most winnable game that's going to age well into like a quad 1, high quad 2 type win for Gonzaga, if they can pull it off.
I totally agree with you. I see exactly what you're saying on that. I think USC, like if it was stock market game, I think USC stock is only rising as the season goes on. This is like maybe the lowest you could possibly buy them. I think they're only going to get better. And great news with Bronny, by the way. He is going to return to practice next week, so he misses this game, but that's fantastic. We weren't sure if that was going to happen this season. So good vibes in general for USC and a bit of happy news there. I'm intrigued by this game because I feel like this is one of those random early season non-conference matchups where both teams are kind of just good at everything right now. Like if you look at the profiles of these teams, I know there's holes we can nitpick. Like nobody's elite at anything here. The personnel leaves a little bit to be desired at certain positions on both sides. But to me, this is a top 40 offense against the top 40 defense against the top 40 offense against the top 40 defense. Like that doesn't always happen. Usually, even with some of the great teams right now, they have a hole that can be exploited. So my question to you, from what you've seen of both of these teams, of those 4 units, Gonzaga offense and defense, USC offense and defense, which one do you trust the most in a game like this?
Is it weird to say Gonzaga's defense is the unit I trust the most?
I did not expect it. Tell me more.
I think Gonzaga has shown with the defense that they've been able to put out so far this season. And granted, we saw the holes against Cal State Bakersfield of all teams. And Purdue, but it's Purdue. That this team is just stout. Without Drew Timme and with the depth they have at the 4 and the 5, they're able to play much more physically on the interior than they have been the last 2 to 3 years. Because they can get into foul trouble at the 5 position, and they've got 2 to 3 more guys they can slot in at the 5 to soak up fouls as well. Offensively for Gonzaga, their shooting has been spotty at best. It's the reason why they lost to Purdue down the stretch, was they just couldn't make a shot. They've had other stretches this season where they can't seem to find their 3-point shot. But I also think one place that USC is going to improve over the course of the season is their offense. Their offense right now is run by a turnover-prone point guard. We went over that before the Seton Hall game. Didn't quite hurt them against Seton Hall, but it hurt them against Oklahoma. And they're not at full strength offensively. And they're not at full strength defensively because of all the things that Bronny James does really well. I mean, he is probably one of the best defensive freshman wings in the country, at least coming into this season. So I think I trust the defense for Gonzaga, because when you look at their defense, they don't force a lot of turnovers, but they can still generate offense off of missed shots. They don't really give up a high percentage from anywhere on the court, other than teams are shooting like 85% from the free throw line, which is insane to me, against Gonzaga. So I trust this Gonzaga defense, I think, more than their offense at this point in the season. And maybe that changes when you start to see Ryan Nembhard and Hickman and others get into more of a groove.
Yeah, can we please fix this free throw defense, Connor? What are we doing right now? That just seems horrible. People are apparently no longer intimidated by Drew Timmy's mustache. That's the only change I can think of. So the one thing I circled when I was profiling this game before we jumped on here, um, there's kind of two different swing spots in this for me. One positive for Gonzaga, one negative for Gonzaga. The positive is I think they can kill USC on the boards, especially on the offensive end. This team has proven to be very good at attacking their own misses, second chance opportunities. USC has been pretty horrible at limiting those. I'm not very afraid of USC's front court at all. And while I don't know, in the offseason, I really downplayed this new look Gonzaga front court. I thought it was just going to be a disaster without Drew Timme. You got to give credit where credit is due to the hodgepodge of guys they've got. I mean, Watson is who he is, but he's got a great motor. He plays hard. He's smart. He's in the right spots. EK, we know what he can do on the boards. So to me, that's a huge thing you could exploit. Do you see that being a big advantage here?
Yeah, they're relentless on the boards. And other than EK, who's taken more 3-point shots than I was expecting him to take all year, their bigs can also shoot. So it's not like you can just throw big bodies who are there purely to rebound against them, because you need someone who can defend out to the three against Watson and Huff and Ben Gregg. And I think that's what's been almost keeping Gonzaga afloat during their backcourt and wing struggles is every single one of these bigs can score and every single one of them can defend.
Yeah, it's really versatile. It really is, and it's fun to watch. I mean, obviously, you've been no stranger to fun teams to watch, but like I find myself more a fan of this Gonzaga team than the past few, and I don't know if that's the expectations being gone or what, but they've kind of charmed me again, like they did back in the day, in a way that went away when they were the national title favorite, and I missed that feeling. Gonzaga, it's fun to see. On the negative side here, you mentioned the shooting has been pretty putrid. I don't necessarily think that's going to continue. Like I think on a player by player basis, I trust most of these guys as shooters. Nemhard's 20% on the season right now. Hickman's 29%. I would expect both of those to rise pretty clearly in the near future here. But you got to give USC some credit. One of their strengths has been 3-point defense. They're solid there. They're actually holding teams to the exact percentage that Gonzaga has been shooting on the season, which is 30%. So how worried are you about making shots in this game? Do you need to make threes to win this game?
I don't think you need to make threes. I think Gonzaga needs to pressure the guards, especially Collier, and get out in transition and play like Gonzaga's played the past few years, which is if you can just get at the rim against this USC team in transition, I think you've got a pretty good shot to win. This is a Gonzaga team that I think is more comfortable playing like they did in 2017, which is not a top 10 tempo team, more, top 100, but they play well on both ends of the floor. They can throw a lot of bigs at you. But in this particular game, I think if you want to beat the backcourt, because USC, I have talked negatively about Collier so far in this preview. USC's backcourt, I think, is just better than Gonzaga's. It's more talented than Gonzaga's. And so if you want to beat that, you need to get out ahead of that. And I think part of that is making Collier uncomfortable, like he's shown that he has been in USC's losses, and get out in transition and beat these guards down, beat the bigs and the guards down the floor for easy twos. And I think that's how Gonzaga should be approaching this game.
Yeah, and I think that is how they will approach the game. I agree with you. They can have success there. I have to ask the follow-up now. I didn't expect you to go there. You think USC's backcourt is just better? My interpretation of this is I'm with you on the talent. I wholeheartedly agree. I also think this is 100% that's why we brought him here game for Ryan Nembhard. This just feels like a Nembhard in the Gonzaga system game that family wins against a freshman point guard who's turnover prone. How off base am I on that?
No, you're right on, right? Because you look at the 3 guard spots. Boogie Ellis is better than Nolan Hickman. Kobe Johnson is better than Dusty Stromer. Ryan Nembhard is better than Isaiah Collier. And so
Ooh!
that's where you have to exploit. If it becomes a game where Boogie Ellis and Kobe Johnson can get whatever they want, that's where USC wins. But we've seen Dusty Stromer, for his offensive struggles, has been playing relentless defense. Nolan Hickman has bought into his role. Ryan Nembhard, you've seen those flashes of controlling pace. His stop-start ability in the lane is incredible. And so I think Gonzaga wins this game because their front court's better than USC's front court. But if USC were to win, it's going to be 17 points from Collier, like 22 to 25 from Boogie Ellis, and like 12 to 15 from Kobe Johnson.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's definitely the formula for USC. I also am with you. I'm picking Gonzaga to win this game. I will differ slightly from you. Not that you said this isn't going to happen, but I will differ slightly in that I think Isaiah Collier is going to be awesome in this game, and Gonzaga will still win the game. I think the front court is the difference to me in a major way. I think they're going to beat them up on the boards, and should be a very entertaining game, like especially if we get good USC backcourt and everything Gonzaga has been to this point in the season. I think that's like a high-powered, just back and forth affair. Final question for me to wrap this. I know your answer on the USC side would be Boogie Ellis, so I'm going to skip that. Who is the best player on this Gonzaga team?
I think that's tough. That's tough. I think the answer is most talented is probably Brian Nembhard. I think the X factor in this game is having someone like Braden Huff who can come off the bench and score from everywhere on the floor with ease. And he's a big-bodied big. He's coming off behind Graham Ike. So it's you're going from one big-bodied big to a second big-bodied big. It's that 5 spot is, I think, what wins it for Gonzaga. But I think most talented on this team is probably Nembhard. I know Watson gets a lot of love. Ike's been putting up numbers, but that's, I think, more a function of Gonzaga's system than it is the raw talent. But the flashes you see from Ryan Nembhard, especially when the rest of the team was kind of struggling against Cal State Bakersfield, for what it's worth, I think he is probably going to be the key. If Gonzaga wants to make a Sweet 16, Ryan Nembhard has to be the best player on the floor.
Yeah, I love that answer. I honestly was trying to bait you because if you told me Anton Watson, I was going to change my pick to USC. So you dodged the bullet. You nailed the question. And for my money, by the way, I like doing that exercise with a lot of teams. For my money, Gonzaga is the most difficult team to answer that question with this season. And that could both be a good thing and a bad thing. Sometimes you want to know who your best player is just definitively, especially by March you do. But it also speaks to how many different options Gonzaga has, how many different guys can beat you any given night. So it will be really fascinating to watch that play out. I think that answer could change as the season goes on as well, as Ryan Nembhard becomes more comfortable and either establishes himself as the clear answer or doesn't, and somebody else has to be. Good luck to you in the battle of the Hope household, though, more importantly than anything. Is there going to be anything on the line for this one? What's the wager?
I don't know if there's going to be anything on the line. My after the USC football debacle of 2023, I don't know if my wife has any more faith in USC athletics to give. So,
smart woman, I respect it. All right, well, we'll be rooting for you here in Sleepers Land. If you want to see our recap of Gonzaga USC, it will be coming on the Sleepers Media YouTube channel later this weekend. Thank you to Connor Hope for being here from Heat Check. I'm Greg Waddell from Sleepers Media. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time.